Hey guys, welcome to the 1,000 subscriber Q&A. Today I'm going to be answering some questions. I asked y'all on a community post to ask me some. I'll be answering those. First of all, just wanted to say that the link for the parkour map I'm playing in this video will be in the description in case any of y'all want to play it. Also, we're going to start off today with a little story about what this video was supposed to be. I had a different idea for the 1,000 subscriber special and it didn't work out. So I'm going to explain that briefly and then we'll get right into the questions. So what this video was originally meant to be, I was making the blue raspberry chicken, guys. Some of you know this, I'll put screenshots up on screen right now. I told this story before on stream. I'll also put a timestamp in the stream so you can go find it if you want to watch the clip yourself. But I told a story about how I had come up with this idea of making a blue raspberry sauce for chicken and I thought it would be a really good idea. And then Molfitz, or you might know him as Modfits, our local moderator, suggested that I could do it for the 1,000 subscriber special, and I thought that was a much better idea than what I had planned at the time. So I asked for permission to mention that it was his idea and all that, and ended up going through with it. I did the research, I did the planning, and even went through with cooking it. Did you know that blue raspberry isn't its own unique flavor? It's just raspberry, artificial raspberry, but colored blue. I guess the food dye that they originally used for raspberry got banned and they needed a new color and they just went with blue. Take that with a grain of salt because I didn't do a ton of research in that area. But basically, I was full sending on this. July 3rd is when I recorded the video when I cooked the chicken, which is also the day, coincidentally, we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of crazy. Didn't plan for that, but I made one critical error. And that is that I didn't cook the chicken properly. You see, usually I would just cook in my kitchen, right? And I've cooked chicken plenty of times, never had any issues. But the thing is, I didn't want to show my kitchen in the video, so I filmed it out on my grill. But I still cooked the chicken in a pan because I figured I'd cook the chicken in a pan and then just cook the sauce with like the leftover, what do you call them? The little like seasoning bits and stuff left over that you could like turn into a gravy or something. Obviously this wasn't going to be a gravy, but for whatever reason I decided I would still cook the chicken in a steel pan over my grill, and it just didn't get hot enough. I cooked it until it wasn't pink, but of course there's a reason they tell you to cook your chicken to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is 74 degrees Celsius for anyone that doesn't use the Fahrenheit scale. Look that up just to make sure. But yeah, so I didn't cook the chicken properly. I should have realized when I wasn't even able to get the sauce to simmer properly, but I ate that stuff. It already didn't look appetizing. I colored it blue. It kind of looked like laundry detergent, but I was like, for the memes, you know? As far as how it tasted, I could say it was incredibly mid. The best way I could describe it is it's the worst it could possibly be while being something you can still eat without issue or with little to no issue. That is to say, if you were a guest at someone's house and they made this for you and you had to eat it, you could stomach eating enough that you wouldn't be starving and to be polite, but like you might not enjoy it, right? That's kind of how it was, and that's because artificial raspberry doesn't go good with garlic and onion. If any of you are wanting to try this for yourselves, you're going to have to find a solution to the garlic and onion because it feels wrong not to season the chicken, but I genuinely believe garlic and onion ruined the flavor of the sauce. It doesn't go well together. So the reason I didn't end up making the video is because I've been a little queasy looking at that chicken. I thought that after given a few weeks, I got sick immediately after having food poisoning. It was like the next day I caught the cold that my family had. So I was sick for weeks, couldn't even do the voiceover anyway because it would sound terrible. And I thought that given enough time, I might be able to look at that chicken and it would be all right, but that's just not the case. I've been putting off editing it because of that, and that's when I realized it'd probably be better to do something else for the 1,000 subscriber video. So here we are. There's the story. I did try to do it, didn't turn out well, and I'm okay to admit that. My idea didn't go to plan, and that's how it often goes, you know? And with that, that'll actually lead us perfectly into the first question for today from Case, aka Molfitz. Do you think you will be making a blue raspberry steak in the future as a redemption? No. The idea of blue raspberry with steak is even worse, and I want to salvage what love I still have for the blue raspberry candies and flavorings out there because it is one of my favorite flavorings. It's my go-to for like snow cones, for Jolly Ranchers, Dum Dum Suckers, like basically any candy or sweet. I don't like candies and sweets that much, but when I do eat them, I tend to go for blue raspberry or just raspberry flavored things. So I'd like to salvage that as much as possible. And then the last part of Molfit's question, what has been your favorite memory from your YouTube journey so far and why does it stand out to you? When I think of my YouTube journey so far, there's 4 things that stick out to me. There's probably some other things that I've forgotten along the way, or if I don't really think about it, I'd be like, oh, that moment. But these are the 4 I've come up with. The first one is my Elden Ring Minecraft short. That is the first time I saw an explosion in views. Up until that point, I'd only gotten like 20, maybe 50 views on a video, and that was over several weeks. Elden Ring had just released, and I'd heard some things about the game. I didn't even know much about it myself, but I was like, what if I made a skit off of like these stereotypes that I've heard? And I made that short, and within a few hours it got like 300, 400 views, which was crazy. I was freaking out. That was the first time where I was like, whoa, and like really freaked out over gaining a lot of views. I'd say the next one would be the Totally Not Suspicious material gathering stream that I did for my Minecraft hardcore world, and that one's special because I was actually really nervous, really anxious before and during that stream. I'd been feeling anxious but decided to stream anyway because I was like, I got this, I can do this. And I got about 20 minutes in and was still feeling sick. I thought I might throw up or something, and so I was minutes away from ending stream. I was like, I can't do this. And then we got raided by Mrs. Samantha Gaming, and you'd think that having an increase in viewership might make me more nervous, but the opposite happened. Instead, I totally forgot about the state I was currently in, how sick I felt, and I just started talking to people in chat and just really enjoyed hanging out with everyone. So I was able to finish out that stream, and actually it was one of my best streams, not just in terms of viewership, but just with how I felt at the end of it. I was like, wow, that was a really good stream. I'm really glad I did that. The third moment would be my Sands of Time guide and the Every Room and Sands of Time as well. I lumped those two together, the Sands of Time videos. Dave Kratzy watched my guide and shared it on the MCC Reddit, and that is, I'd say it's the second time I really had a boost in viewership or subscribers. I got like 200 subscribers in the span of a few weeks, and everyone seemed to really love that guide. And yeah, that was incredible. Thank you for that, Dave. You'll probably never see this, but that was really cool to see that I could find success not just from shorts, because shorts, honestly, if you can find a popular topic or something, it's easy to gain a lot of views on a short. But videos where you might be able to gain a long-term viewer base, that was the first time something like that happened to me, and that was another key moment in this channel's history, I'd say. And finally, and what I would consider to be the most important video in this channel's history thus far, my Octopath video essay, Octopath, the game that changed my life. That video is the first one that I can truly say I made for myself. Not that I didn't enjoy making my other videos, of course I wanted to make the Sands of Time guide, that was something I was very passionate about, but this was a project that I just knew I was going to get done no matter what, and it didn't matter if it was popular or not. I just wanted to make it. I hoped that it would do well because I spent a lot of time making it, a little over a year, the longest I've ever committed to a project in my life thus far. So to see that all that work paid off, and the fact that right now the majority of my subscribers and the majority of my audience has come from that honestly means so much to me. I couldn't have asked for a better way to reach 1,000 subscribers, I guess. The next question comes from Saris. What do you think an ideal community would be? How big? How active? What would you get out of it? Etc. The first part of that, what is an ideal community to me? An ideal community is one that is respectful. You see it happen online so often. People get into their cliques, they get into this echo chamber of opinions, and they're appalled by anyone that might think differently than them. And that's just not a community I want to build, and honestly, it's something that I don't get. The way I see it, the world is full of people from all different flocks of life, all different upbringings, belief systems, and while I do believe in morals and that there are just objectively things that are good and evil, I also understand that there can be some nuance to it in certain cases, and just because someone else believes something differently than you doesn't mean they're bad, doesn't mean they're wrong, and it doesn't mean that you can't get along with each other and at the very least have a civil and respectful conversation. To me, conversations are an exploration of ideas. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be correct. It's just, you're simply getting to know the other person. You're exploring, ideas and trying to figure things out about the world. That's the way I see it, at least. So I think having a community like that, also a community of fellow deep thinkers, just considering where my content is going, the fact that I love stories so much, and I do love to do these deep dives into like some of the ideas that these stories present. So I think having a community that is able to kind of get in on that as well, what would I get out of it? I'm able to have ideas presented to me that I wouldn't have thought of before. I'm able to get more out of the stories that I will experience in the games I play because other people are able to bring it to my attention, or, everyone's life experiences allows them to see things in a different way. And I think that's really cool. Now, as far as how big and how active, that is something that I have thought about, and it's the reason I made the Discord members only. I'll try and explain my thought process behind it. I basically set up the Discord in anticipation for growth. I don't know how big the channel will get. I don't know for how long I'll be doing this, but at this moment in time, I know I really love it, and I know I'm going to be doing it for a while. So in anticipation of growth, I made the Discord members only. I only made it $1 at the minimum because I don't expect people to be paying me $5 a month, especially when I'm not getting content out that often. You've got your lives, you've got bills to pay, family and friends to take care of. I get it. But I did make the Discord members only so that it wouldn't get too big. I don't know if you guys have experienced it, but for me, it's been the same experience every time. I join a creator's Discord. There's so many things going on in the chats. I end up just muting every single one of them and not even participating, and so I just leave. And that's not what I want for the Discord. I want to be able to interact with the Discord. I want that to be something I can always do. So having it be members only does keep it a bit smaller. That is on purpose. But also, I make it a priority to interact with the Discord because I know that people paid to be there. I know that they're the people that are able to or who want to support me, and so I'm going to make a little bit extra effort to make sure I interact there, right? Of course, I'm going to interact with people in stream chat and with comments, but if the community were to grow to a big enough size, I might not be able to get to every comment or every message in chat. But the Discord is something I want to be able to always interact with. Now, if we were to grow big enough, is it possible that even with just $1 a month, there would still be too many people in there? Yeah, but I think it would take a lot to get to that point, and I guess I'll cross that road when I get there. It also keeps bots and trolls out of the Discord. That's another thing. Makes it easier to moderate. That's kind of why I set it up that way. It's also slightly inspired by two other creators, Technoblade and Kyo, who's a Valorant streamer. They have their Discords set up that way as well, and I liked the idea behind it, so that's why I ended up doing it. And then I guess I didn't really answer the how active, or even just like the how big. You know, as many people as possible. Let's spread the joys of Octopath Traveler to the whole realm, you know? Let's get as many people on board the Octopath train as possible. But no, for real, like, as long as people are willing to abide by the rules I have in place and are able to respect the kind of community I want to build, then as many people as possible. I would hope that it'd be manageable, like I'd be able to get to everything, but if it gets to the size where I'm not able to get to everything, I hope people would know that it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just that I'm one person and I wouldn't be able to get to every comment or to every chat message in the live chat on stream. Next up, we have a question from Sagir, I forget how to pronounce it, I'm so sorry. Have you finally looked into Monster Hunter World Iceborne? I don't think it was Iceborne specifically, but I did look into Monster Hunter World, and while there seemed to be an overall story for the game or games, I forget if it was several games or just the one game. The main focus seemed to be the fighting mechanics, hunting down monsters with different weapons. There seemed to be like a really intricate scaling system or something, and while I do like a good fighting system, that's not the main draw for a game for me. I really like the one in Octopath, but I probably would have played Octopath even if I didn't like the fighting system. This fighting system just so happened to be something I really liked, and so it made the game even more enjoyable. So yeah, I don't know that Monster Hunter World is my type of thing, but for those that like a really good fighting system with like scaling and stuff in unique ways, then I'm sure it's a great game for people that like that. The next question comes from Dragonkin. What's one of your earliest games that you can remember playing? There's a few. I genuinely can't remember what my very first game was, but I know what games I played in my early childhood. There's also some mixed in there that I watched my dad play. I watched my dad play Chrono Trigger, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and probably some other ones that I've forgotten. Mega Man. I think I watched him play Mega Man. I don't know if it was Mega Man 1 or 2, but one of the Mega Mans I know I watched him play. But as far as games that I played, I know for the DS, because I did play on the DS, there was, I think it's the new Super Mario Bros. 2. I'll put the cartridge, like picture of the cartridge on screen. I always forget the name of it, but it was a Mario Bros. Game. And then I think I probably would have played Kirby Superstar Ultra. I remember playing a lot of Kirby Squeak Squad, but I think Superstar Ultra came out before Kirby Squeak Squad, so I imagine I played that one first. Also, Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. But besides that, I honestly can't say what my very first game was. I just know those are some of the earliest games that I played. Oh, Peggle too! I forgot about that! I used to play Peggle on my family's computer. What else? Minesweeper? I played Purper Place. That might be the first one. Do any of y'all know Purper Place? It was like, no, Purple Place. I'm mixing up the Purper block from Minecraft. Purple Place. It was a Microsoft Store game or something. And like there were 3 different ones. There was like I think like a memory one. There was like a cake one. And then what was the other one? Was it like choosing outfits for your character or something? I don't know. I'll find some screenshots. not screenshots. It'll be pictures from Google. I'll find some and put them on screen. That might be the first game I played. It might have been Purple Place. From W. Arlene, I definitely didn't pronounce that wrong when originally recording this. Would you rather have feet for hands or hands for feet? I think I'd have to go with hands for feet because I need my hands in order to edit. Editing with feet would suck. And even though that'd be mad weird walking around on hands, at least I'd still be able to get my normal work done. Everyday life, I feel like, is just better when you have hands for hands and not feet for hands, you know? The next question comes from Ham. Will there be any other Let's Play style content like the Octopath 2 videos? That is the plan right now. I can't promise that that's where things will go because I've learned that sometimes you plan for one thing and another thing happens, right? Never expected to be doing Octopath Traveler content, but here we are. Side note, if yes, would love to see Live Alive because that game is amazing. Live Alive is on my list. Hopefully you'll get to see a Let's Play on that in the future. But again, I can't make promises. I can't even say when exactly that'd be out. But currently, I am planning on it. Next up, we have a question from Blue Fox. Is there anything you think Octopath 1 did better than Octopath 2? Yes. The combat, especially with the special secondary jobs. I understand what they were going for in Octopath 2. They were trying to give you special abilities that you could uniquely combo with other things, but I feel like it just made the combat more muddled. That's just my personal take. There's so many abilities that, like, it's just too much to think about. Like, when am I gonna use Stroke of Genius from Oswald? You know, it gives me 2 random status effects. Why would I do that when I instead, like, I could get the Judge from Timberrain to be able to do, oh, I forget what the ability's called, but, like, it debuffs and buffs your team, you know? Or you could do one of Agni's dances where you know for sure you're getting a certain status effect. Like, there's just certain abilities that I just don't see the use for them, or there's probably a use, but it's too complicated in my opinion. With Octopath 1, it was very straightforward. There were a lot of unique combos you could do. For instance, Sorcerer Therion. People figured that out later down the line, that if you gave Therion Heathcote's dagger, and then there's a certain sword that also buffs fire damage, you can have Therion be your sorcerer, and you could do mad damage that way. Like, who would have thought of making the thief the sorcerer, right? So there's definitely unique combos in the first game, but I feel like it's more straightforward. Like, it makes more sense. I don't know if it's just the description of the abilities in the second game that makes it seem muddled to me, but there's just a lot of abilities I never ended up using and ones that I probably will never use. Like, the most straightforward thing in Octopath 2 is having Temenos or Oswald doing massive amounts of elemental damage, or Hikari as your arms master. Like, you can do other things, but they're just not as viable as, like, those main 3, right? Like, even Oswald's One True Magic just doesn't hit as hard as having Temenos do Sacred Euphulgence, you know? So, yes, I do think Octopath 1 did the combat a little bit better, but I think the next question kind of gets into some differences between Octopath 1 and Octopath 2, so I'll save more of my thoughts on that for a second. But the last part of the question, are JRPGs my favorite game genre? Probably. The thing is, the only other JRPG I've played besides Octopath is Chrono Trigger, and back when I played that as a kid, I didn't even know that JRPG was a genre. I didn't know what that meant, right? So really, I would say I have Octopath to go off of. I remember Chrono Trigger fondly. I want to replay that at some point. But I really have Octopath to go off of, and if a lot of JRPGs end up being similar to Octopath, at least, like, of course the combat's going to be different stuff, but as long as there's the same structure of, like, story and everything, I imagine it would be my favorite genre. Other than that, I would say mystery or puzzle games, but that's just because of the Professor Layton series. I don't know that on the whole I like most puzzle or mystery genre games. Same with rhythm games. That's another, I love Rhythm Heaven Fever, but I haven't played enough other rhythm games to know for sure if that would be a favorite genre. I have, like, games that are standouts that I love, but it'd be hard to say whether or not it's the genre itself that I love, and I feel like that's the same here. I want to say yes, JRPGs are my favorite genre, but I just haven't played enough JRPGs to know for sure. The next question is from Avocado. Which game between Octopath 1 and 2 did you end up preferring more? There we go. See, I knew we'd get into some of the differences between the two games. I'll just say it right now, I think Octopath 1. And here's why. Because I know Octopath 2 made a lot of improvements. There are a lot of quality of life changes, and I think they were good. Even though I don't personally use it, I think adding the sped up animations in battle was a really good choice. I do like the night and day cycle. My brother reminded me of that recently. That is a really good mechanic in Octopath 2. I didn't mind the latent powers. I don't think they were necessary, but I thought they were cool, and it does give each character a more unique thing to their character. Like, I feel like in the first game, like, Therion is the only one that could open purple chests, so you kind of had to take him along. You had Alphen's Concoct, but, like, some of the other characters, it was like their path actions were unique, but they didn't have, like, a specific talent thing thing that was unique to them. The latent powers kind of helped with that in the second game. But overall, I would have to say Octopath 1, just because of how much I love that game. I feel like people dog on Octopath 1 unnecessarily. Like, yeah, Octopath 2 is going to be better because they took feedback and they were able to make improvements. But the way people talk about it is like Octopath 2 is just so much better. It's the far superior game. And in my mind, they're on the same level. The only thing I can genuinely critique about Octopath 1 is having the end of the game side quest locked. That's something that didn't even personally bother me, but I understand that not everyone's a completionist or not everyone loves that game as much as I do. So I think just for general playability, what they did in Octopath 2 is much better. Even making the final boss a little bit easier for the sake of story, I think is probably a good move. And then yeah, just have like side like extra battles or having that super boss on the side. Like that's a good way to still give people a challenge. But honestly, like that didn't even bother me with the first game. And there's just, yeah, the fact is that Octopath 1 started my journey with Octopath, and so it holds a special place in my heart. It's on a pedestal, and it genuinely came at the right time in my life. I was struggling at that time, and even though I know I would have ended up alright, I would have gotten through that time, I feel like Octopath Traveler helped speed up that process. The stories really did remind me of things that were important. There was a lot in there that I needed to hear. It gave me hope, it gave me things to look forward to, and I'm really grateful for that. I also, strangely enough, feel like the first game is more replayable than the second, but that might be because I'm in the midst of editing Octopath 2, and so a lot of the stories and the combat are fresh in my mind. It's been a while since I played Octopath 1 now, so it's totally possible that's why I feel like it's more replayable, but it might also be the fact that I like the combat better for the first game, and so I'd be more willing to replay with the first game's combat since I already know the stories. Like, I already know the stories from both games, so if I had to choose to replay them, I'd go with the game where I feel like the combat's a little bit more balanced. But just to make it clear, I still love Octopath 2. Really, they're on the same level, but if I had to choose one, just because of the impact it had on me, and because it's what got me into the Octopath series, I'd have to go with Octopath 1. Next up, Psych Soldier asks, triangle strategy when? Sometime. I edit when I can edit, and I genuinely can't even give a timeline for when the Octopath series will be over. But I do have a plan for what games I will play next. It's possible the order could change, I'm now realizing, but I own Triangle Strategy. It's in my library. I am planning to play it at some point. That is one of the games I am looking most forward to. It's really hard to have to just have it sitting there and not playing it because I told myself I can't play it until I get the Octopath series done and one other series done. It's probably going to be Hollow Knight. But yes, planning to do Triangle Strategy at some point. I'm really looking forward to that one. The next question comes from Mirrorwing, who asks, how does the state of your channel now compare to what you envisioned when you started it? Kind of relates to the conversation on Octopath Traveler. Did not expect to be where I am, but couldn't be happier that it ended up this way. This is a little fun fact. The only video I have unlisted, besides like some failed starts of streams and things, the only video I have unlisted is my original like intro video, like channel homepage video. It was about 40 seconds long. It was welcome to my channel. First video I ever made. I unlisted it because this channel was originally meant to be purely a Minecraft YouTube channel. In that little video, I said like I'd be making guides, I'd be looking at different Minecraft maps, like this is just going to be a Minecraft YouTube channel. And I figured out pretty quickly that that wasn't going to be the case because I like playing a lot of different games and I'll take breaks from one and then come back to it and things, you know? So yeah, I'd say in terms of content, it's ended up differently than I imagined, but I couldn't be happier with where it's ended up. I also think, looking back on it, we're coming up on the 3-year channel anniversary, but as many of you know, I actually started making videos like about 5-6 months after I actually made the channel. So really, I've been making videos for 2.5 years, and the fact that we've already hit 1,000 subscribers monetized, that's crazy. Like they always say that a lot of people quit along the way, a lot of people don't make it that far, so the fact that I guess like I made it that far, that's crazy. And to have such a good community at such an early stage as well, to have people that are, yeah, really, I'd give it to the Octopath content. Like, I've been amazed to see like what an amazing community the Octopath community is, and I'm so glad to be a part of it, and that my channel has gone this way. I always knew I would do YouTube until like I was monetized and stuff, and even beyond that. I kind of just knew right away from the beginning that like, there's very few things in life that you just feel sure about, but this was one of those. This is one of the few times where I was just like, this is what I'm doing, and it just felt right. No matter like how I thought about it, I just knew like I'm going to do this, and I was prepared to go as long as I needed. So yeah, again, crazy to think of where where 2.5 years has gotten the channel, and I'm really grateful to be here. The next question comes from Rail. What are your top 5 favorite games and top 5 OSTs? I rambled for so long on this question, so I'm coming back here to summarize what it is I said in about 10 or 15 minutes, because I was exploring my thoughts and really trying to figure out what my answer to this was. For top 5 favorite games, it's hard to say because I feel like there's a lot of games I have yet to discover that will become favorites, but for now, I can definitely say the Octopath Traveler games, Octopath 1 and 2. I haven't played Champions of the Continent, so I don't really know, but I'm not really into mobile games. So, like, I might like it for the lore, but I'm not sure if I could put it as a favorite. And then Professor Layton and Rhythm Heaven Fever. Also, Skyward Sword. Why do people dog on that game? The motion controls are not that bad. The story is so good. The boss designs are good. The music's good. I love the Soul Trials. That was a really well designed thing. It's just, yeah. Get good. If you don't like the motion controls, like they fixed it up in the HD version on the Switch, give it a try. It's not that bad, guys. Clearly, I feel very passionate about this. It's a good game. It's my favorite Zelda game. Besides that, there's a lot of games that I love to play, but it's hard to say if they're a favorite. There's a lot of games I like to play with friends. I've been enjoying playing some Valheim recently. I loved playing Civilization 5 as a kid, and even now I'll hop in sometimes and just do a playthrough. The Civilization 5 opening theme is one that's so nostalgic for me. I don't know if I could put it in top 5 OSTs, but that's a really good song. It's like the same 4 Latin phrases repeated over and over, but it's really powerful. Minecraft is one that I always seem to come back to, but I don't know that I could put it in my top 5 favorite games. But in terms of OST, I would definitely put Minecraft in there. When I was editing my hardcore episode 4 recently, I went to listen to some of the Minecraft music because I wanted to make the intro kind of feel nostalgic and I wanted to find the best like Minecraft track to put in there. And I ended up putting in Hagstrom? Hope that's the name of the track. They're named weird sometimes, so I don't know exactly how to say them or what exactly they are. But as I was listening to the different tracks, I listened to Sweden, and it's a sense of nostalgia, not in the sense of like it was a throwback, but it was a sense of nostalgia as in I just felt at home. I immediately just started humming to it, honestly nearly cried. I was just like, this feels like home. This was a lot of my childhood. So yeah, that original music by C418, gotta give it to Minecraft. That is definitely in my top 5 OSTs. Octopath 1 and 2, of course. Amazing OSTs. Love Yasunori Nishiki's work. So good. I'm gonna put Rhythm Heaven Fever up there. I've been talking about it a lot this video. If you, in any sort of way, like rhythm games or want to get better at rhythm, that game, it's just so much fun. And there is a duel mode, so you could duel other people. Unfortunately, there's not that many minigames, but, oh gosh, that would be a game that if I could get another one, or at least a port to the Switch, it'd be so good. I also need Cookin' Mama. I know they made a new one for the Switch, but I need the original Wii one. That one was so good. And I don't know that I have a 5th game for the OST list. Again, I feel like there's a lot of OSTs I've yet to listen to that I'll absolutely love. Sometimes I like just 1 or 2 tracks, or I really like the vibe. Like for instance, I listened to Crypt of the Necrodancer soundtrack recently, and that's a fire track, but I can't say that's like a top 5 OSTs, because to me, a top 5 game or a top 5 OST is something I gush about. And Octopath definitely gush about, and you've seen it. I've gushed about Professor Layton, Rhythm Heaven, and like I really liked the Crypt of the Necrodancer soundtrack. Maybe if I played the game, maybe it would move up on my list, but like, even though it's really good, or like Zelda music's really good, but I can't exactly say it's like in my personal top 5. Like there's just so many good tracks out there, but the things I consider favorites are the things that I will gush about, so I'll leave the list there. The next question is from Lucy. What is your most embarrassing moment? Here's the thing, I know a couple weeks ago, it came to me, one of like my 2 or 3 embarrassing moments. You know how most embarrassing moments you kind of get over with age? Like eventually you're just like, oh, I was young, I didn't know what I was doing, like, oh, that's cringe, but, you know, I do better now. There's still those 2 or 3, though, where I think about it, and I'm like, nope, and then you push it away. Push it back, try to put it in the trash bin, but it just, you know, of course it doesn't, because you end up forgetting about it, but then with a very specific line of thought, you end up remembering it, and you're like, ooh, that's still there. I don't like that. I had that happen a couple weeks ago, but I can't remember it. And while I'm sure there's some embarrassing stories that I'm not willing to share online, I think this one might have been one I was willing to share, but I can't remember. It's gone back into the trash bin for the time being. So the only one, there's a couple like interesting stories, or like kind of like, oh, that was weird, or that was embarrassing things, but I think the one I'm gonna go with is this one, because I genuinely still feel bad about this. I was like 13 or something. I was in this group talking with some people. It was a mix of like kids my age, like some of my friends and like parents, or like maybe it's just the moms or something like that, okay? And one of the girls' moms was talking with some of the other moms. I don't know what the conversation was exactly, but I remember her mentioning something about her age, like maybe like, I don't know, mom talk stuff. I don't know what moms talk about. It was probably like something about like maybe her knees were hurting. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions. All I know is it prompted me to ask her how old she was. And from my memory, she said 54, but that now sounds not right. She might have said in her 40s. I'm not sure. She was somewhere around that age. All I know is I heard the number and I thought, oh, that's how old my grandma is. And so what did I do? Well, I said, oh, that's how old my grandma is. Probably not how old my grandma was, but I said it nonetheless, because if she was in her 40s, then yeah, my grandma couldn't have been in her 40s. She could have been in her 50s, but then remembering this lady, I don't think she could have been in her 50s. So I don't know exactly what it was. All I know is, you know, when you're a kid and you say something totally meaning it, like you weren't meaning to be rude, but you see the look on their face and you're like, ah, gotta log that one as something that's socially unacceptable. It was one of those moments. I felt bad because I wasn't trying to say she was old or anything, but it's what I said, and I could see the look on her face, and like all the other kids too were kind of like, ooh, like they knew that wasn't something you say. But that was like my first time encountering that scenario and realizing that age could be a sensitive topic for some people. So yeah, that one, it's not one I'm like too embarrassed about now, but at the time I felt really bad. I still feel bad about it. I'm sorry I can't remember any better stories, but yeah, we'll go with this one, I guess. The next question is from Michael, a basic one. What are your ongoing and future projects for YouTube, but also outside of it? Are you trying to learn a new language, for example? What are your struggles? Anyway, thank you for your content, especially the Octopath videos. Keep up the good work. I'm sure it's going to pay sooner rather than later. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Ongoing and future projects, I mean, ongoing, the Octopath Traveler series. For future projects, I probably won't say. I have plans. I mean, I've mentioned I want to do more Let's Plays, but I really have learned that plans can change, and I don't want to say something and people take that as like something I'm gonna promise, something I'll deliver on, because things might go a different way than I think. I have plans, even just for like one-off videos and stuff. I mean, a little while ago, I did that community post asking for ideas for doing a ranking things I shouldn't again video, and I still want to do that. I still have plans to do that, but I don't know if it's gonna come about. I kind of learned that last year when I was like, I'm gonna make a meltdown guide, and then I didn't make a meltdown guide. Like, I can't say for sure what my future projects will be, but I do have plans, and we'll see if they come about. What are some of my struggles? I'd say lately I struggle with time management. With editing, it can be really hard to grasp time, at least for me personally. Edits can take anywhere from a few minutes to a couple hours depending on the complexity of what you're doing, and especially with larger projects like the Octopath Traveler episodes, it can be really hard for me to see how much I've accomplished because it looks like I've only gotten like 20 minutes of the video edited, and I'm like, ah, dang. But what I don't see is how I cut out 40 minutes in between all that, and like that took time and thinking to like be like, okay, do I need to keep this? What's gonna flow best? And then I also like blended the music, the audio together, and I added transitions and I added text, and like it's really hard for me to grasp time with that. So trying to balance hanging out with family and friends, making sure to take care of my own health and everything, along with making sure I'm getting the editing done that I want to. It's just a balancing act. A lot of things in life are making sure that I'm staying productive but not working myself to the bone, making sure I'm accomplishing my goals in a timely manner, but that I'm not slacking or pushing myself too hard, you know? And for everyone, that's going to look a little bit different. The next question is from Mion. What is your biggest fear and why? My biggest fear has definitely changed in recent years. I used to fear death. I used to fear being lonely. But, and this is gonna sound weird, my biggest fear these days is fear itself, aka anxiety. Anxiety is something I've dealt with the last couple of years in varying degrees. It used to be pretty bad, but now I think it's pretty manageable. I don't usually find myself being anxious, but sometimes it still gets to me, like this last week, for instance. All of a sudden, MCC announced MCC Rising, and I found myself in a team all of a sudden, and honestly, I was like, how did this even happen? It happened so fast, and suddenly I started getting really anxious and stressed about it. I ended up having to back out, and there were some other things as well where the team just kind of realized that this wasn't going to work for us, and so we didn't end up putting together an application. It just came on too quickly, and with how busy I had been in the last week, it just was too much to add to my plate, and so I started feeling anxious again. And it's in moments where it comes back, where I get hit with it again, where I'm like, ah, This is why I try to avoid this at all costs. And anxiety is an interesting thing because in a way you have to slowly expose yourself to it in order to overcome it. But I'd say that the fear aspect, because for me I found that my anxiety was rooted in a lot of fears, whether things that I shouldn't or should fear, if that makes any sense. Justified or unjustified fears, that's a better way to say it. And so even though I've identified a lot of the things that my anxiety was originally rooted in, I'm finding, like this last week, that there's still some areas I need to work on. So if anything, it's a dread for that feeling, because I feel it in my stomach, so it can be really hard for me to eat, it can be hard to sleep. And so if at all possible, I'd like to know what those things are and be able to work on them so that I don't have to experience that. If there's things I need to overcome, I'd like to know about them, but unfortunately I can't anticipate everything. So the best I can do is live moment to moment, work on things as I find them, find out about them, however you might say it, and just know that I've gotten through it before and I'll get through it again. And to anyone that might be struggling with anxiety or depression, I'd say the same thing to you. You have gone through tough things before, whether it's things similar to this or other things, and you can absolutely do it again. Don't give up hope. Next question, Epic Diggy asks, what was your inspiration to start a YouTube channel? P.S. Thank you so much for your videos. You were one of my biggest inspirations. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. The idea that I might be able to have an impact on anyone, even with my small size. I mean, size doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You can have an impact on people whether you have a following or not. Just people in your everyday life that you meet face to face, or even just people that you meet by chance online or whatever. You can have an impact on them. Don't underestimate that. But yeah, the fact that I might be able to inspire some people that's a really cool thought. So thank you. What was my inspiration to start a YouTube channel? I think since I've known YouTube, I've kind of always been fascinated with it. I know I watched YouTube as a kid, whether like with my parents. I remember watching GMM or different things. I think I watched what popular MMOs. I know I watched some of their videos at some point when I was a kid. But I think when I especially started watching a lot of YouTube was during COVID. I remember that's when I discovered Grian and started watching Hermitcraft, which is funny because my brother had already been watching Hermitcraft for like a year or two before that, and he had told me about Mumbo's videos with like Mumbo AFK fishing or something, but I just didn't make the connection that they were the same thing he'd been talking about. So I came to him, I was like, dude, have you heard of this thing called Hermitcraft? And he's like, this is a server I've been talking to you about for the last few years. And I'm like, oh. Well, I just discovered it, and I really like this guy named Grian. But yeah, that's when I started watching a lot of YouTube, and I think it would be 2021 when I would discover Technoblade, and I think I gotta give it to Technoblade for being my inspiration to start a channel, because out of any channel out there, out of any creator, I feel like he's the one that, like I watch a lot of Green videos, right? I watch most of his uploads, and there's other people that I'll watch their uploads, but Technoblade was genuinely the only creator so far that I found where I would make sure to always watch his streams, always watch every video, and it's just because he was genuine. He was genuinely a really funny guy, and just effortlessly funny, effortlessly entertaining, and seeing his fan base, like just how much they loved him and being a part of that, like I wanted to have an impact on people like he did. He always managed to make people laugh and to smile, and that's part of the reason why my channel motto, I originally made it trying to make the world a better place one laugh at a time, and eventually after I played Octopath, I changed it to what it currently is, which is trying to make the world a better place one smile, one laugh, or perhaps one touched heart at a time. And the reason I changed it to that was actually mostly due to Agnia's story. I think the smile part definitely came from her story, she was trying to make the world a better place by making people smile. But yeah, I'd say it would have to be Technoblade. Just 07's, you know, blood for the blood god. Love Technoblade. He was a really cool guy, and he left this world far too soon. And since there's probably going to be some people here that don't come from a Minecraft YouTube background, if you haven't seen The Great Potato War by Technoblade, go watch it. You won't regret it. You don't even need to know anything about Minecraft. You'll see exactly what I mean about him being effortlessly entertaining and funny. You don't even need to know what it is he's doing in order to get a good laugh. I go back and watch that series every once in a while. It's so good. There's a reason why it's got millions and millions of views. You won't regret it. Go watch it. The next question comes from AJ. Favorite style of food? Japanese, Mexican, Greek, etc. I'd say most recently, I have been interested in Greek food. I feel like most recently, I'm like, I should look into like Mediterranean and Greek food. But in general, like the past few months, I would have to say it's Japanese food. I've been getting more into sushi, ramen, and the like, and I know there's still more. I tried matcha. I liked the matcha. Caffeinated though, of course, because it's tea. So I can't drink it that often, but I really do like matcha. Overall, I don't know. I have my favorite things that I like. I love a good chicken sandwich. I like a good sweet pork burrito on the Mexican front. Sweet pork burritos just hit different. Like chicken burrito, that's fine. I don't really like steak burritos, but a sweet pork one? Oof. That's good. I mean, I like some good pasta, especially homemade. You get the egg noodles. So good. So yeah, I have like favorite foods and stuff, and I feel like they come from a variety of different places, but in general I've been interested in Japanese food. And also, like, have you seen those videos of like the 7-Elevens and stuff with all of the like the convenience store food in Japan? Like, I'd be interested in going to one of those. I want to see what's up with those. And the final question for today's Q&A comes from that one: how's life going? Thank you for asking. And overall, I'd say really good. When I look at my life on the whole, I think I'm in a much better place now than I have been in years. Every year I feel like I'm just making improvements. I'm learning more about myself and becoming a better and better person. At least I hope so. That's what I'm trying to do. So overall, I'd say doing really well. I'd say this last week has been rough, but that happens. You have your rough days, your rough weeks, your rough months, but overall, life is good. I'm heading in the direction I want to be. Worded that strangely. I'm heading in the direction I want to go. I've got goals. I know what I want to do with my life for the most part. Of course, there's going to be wrenches that are thrown my way, but in general, I feel like I've got my path in life. I know what path it is I'm going to travel, and we'll see where it takes me. We'll see what roads I end up taking along this path that I've chosen. And there we go. That'll conclude the 1,000 subscriber Q&A. Thank you so much, everyone that asked questions. I hope this was somewhat interesting to listen to, at least for some people. Looking at how much is recorded here, I know there's a lot of dead space and a lot of ums and likes and uhs that I can cut out, but I still think this is going to end up being longer, and I'm just going to accept it at this point. I've honestly tried to re-record this so many times to make it shorter, and while I have made it shorter, I think I just generally have a lot of thoughts on stuff, and for some reason I feel the need to express those thoughts. So, I mean, most of y'all come from the Octopath series. You're used to longer content. Hopefully this was good background noise while you did chores or did work or something. This is probably going to be dropping on Tuesday. Monday, I'm probably going to do the Sands of Time run. Tuesday, this will drop. And then on Thursday, that is the channel anniversary. I'm going to release the 3-year history video, and it's also going to be stream day. So I'll send something in the Discord. You'll probably have already seen it at this point if you're in the Discord for the stream schedule. I don't think we're going to do the member chat only stream this Thursday because I want everyone to be able to participate in the chat, because I mean, that's cool that happened to land on stream day, but I will get a schedule out for that to make sure we make up for that member only chat that we missed because my Wi-Fi. I have Ethernet now, guys. It's okay. We're gonna be back on track with the streams now. But yeah, that's enough rambling from me. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, whether you stop in by the stream or not. I hope things go well for you, and I'll see you next time.